Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I'll bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico Easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The Supreme Court rules 9-0 against the NCAA capping student-athlete benefits. Democrat from Rhode Island is still a member of an all-white club, and the media collectively shrugs. And Nevada's GOP says they need an audit like Arizona. What's that all about?
It's all about Alabama, Hollywood, rock and roll, eating good, sports in the deep south, news from the White House, indiscretions, big stupid questions, and all things extracurricular. AM, FM, and online. All talk 99.5. It's a show about every damn thing, and nothing in particular. You're listening to Richard Dixon on Birmingham's Real Talk 99.5.
It is a moist Monday. That's right, I said moist. You heard me, moist. The word moist tends to offend some people. Did you know that? Moist. I don't like to hear it. Turns out it's because of the what is suggested mentally when you say the word moist. Nobody has a problem with the word joist. Nobody has a problem with the word foist. Well, they foisted all this work off on me. Oh, don't say that word. I hate it. Nobody ever says that. But moist, because it connotes something probably involving bodily fluids, just sort of hits people wrong. So I'm going to stop saying moist now because moist is an annoying word, apparently, and people are offended by it. All right, it is 12 noon. It is Monday, hot diggity dog. You might remember her from last week, Crystal Dixon, hanging out with me again today, chiming in when she has something important to say, keeping her big fat mouth shut otherwise. That's unlikely anyway. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
What is that? It's a Mrs. Doubtfire voice. Okay. God, what a great weekend. Had a fantastic weekend. Could not be much better. Went and cleaned out a kid's bedroom because he had moved out of his mother's house, and so turning that into a guest room over at SHG's. And then on Saturday night, we had a steak-off. My son-in-law and I did mine on the griddle, and he did the cast iron skillet method. And I think he edged me. I got to tell you, he had a better crust. He had a better crust on his steak. Mine did not have as good a crust. We both agreed that mine came across as a little more tender, but his had a better crust. I think he hit temp. I think he really got into that medium rare zone that I like so much. Mine was a little more medium. So overall, it was a success, though. It was just barely. It was a slight win for him. I demand a rematch. That's what I say. I must have a rematch. Just used a couple of ribeyes, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. So nobody didn't like the steak that was created, I can tell you that. And then on Sunday, woke up to find that I had been given a KitchenAid mixer. The stand mixer, you know, the big kind of Cadillac of stand mixers, David. You've seen these before?
Yes, my wife has one. It is a white one. What color is yours?
Black.
Nice.
Just like my car and my drum set.
And your soul.
Once you go black, you never go back. That's what they tell me. Also, black don't crack. I don't know what that means. Nonetheless, I got this as a nice surprise, and then SHG immediately set to making pound cake with it. Like right off the bat. She's like, now that I've given you that, can I borrow it? Sure. What if you want? Why not? Okay. And so she turns out this fantastic pound cake. I candied up some strawberries and some blueberries that she had brought along, and then I griddled the pound cake. I know that sounds ridiculous. You're like, well, hold on a second. Why would you griddle the pound? You already have pound cake. It's done. It's delicious.
Individual slices?
Yes.
Okay.
So I cut it into slices, used a little bit of what I call God sauce. It's clarified butter, okay? It's the most awesome thing on the planet. Just put a little bit on the griddle, medium temp, and it just sizzles, you know, and threw down a slice of pound cake. Let it sit there for about 2 to 3 minutes. Flipped it over. Nice golden brown, get a little crust on it, you know. All that sugar caramelizes, and oh, it's so good. It's insanely good. And plus, we just added a bunch of calories with the clarified butter, so now it's even better still. Throw a little little bit of strawberries and blueberries on top of that. It was red, white, and blue. It was so patriotic.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, what? And then threw some Cool Whip on top of it because even though I had been given a mixer with a whip, nobody thought to bring like whipping cream, which would have been
I blame
perfect.
SHG.
Me too. I blame her as well.
I'm going to be making so much
Yeah.
whipped cream
Yeah.
with that.
Really?
You are not prepared for the mastery that is to come your way with that mixer.
What are we going to do with it all? What's the point? What are we, you're just going to make whipped cream for the sake of having whipped cream?
Yes.
Do you have any idea how much a carton of whipping cream costs?
That's the American dream, is
like
to just whipped cream on demand.
Just make whipped cream and throw it on everything.
Put it on waffles. Put
Perhaps,
it on pancakes.
Put it on your
put it on
tires.
spaghetti.
Fraiche.
Whatever works for you. I think maple syrup goes better on spaghetti. So then went to see $1 Million Quartet, Virginia Sanford Theater. I regret to inform you that there's only one more weekend of this show because it was so good. I wish I'd seen it sooner so I could have told you about it and then everyone could run out and buy tickets. Probably a sellout already anyway, though. It's a story of December 4th, I think that's the date, 1956, when all of four major players from Sun Records come together. Elvis Presley, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Johnny Cash. And they're all there with Sam Phillips. Sam Phillips played by my old friend Kyle Holman, whom I've known forever. He was also did a brilliant job in Fiddler on the Roof. He played Tevye. He was Mr. Applegate in Damn Yankees. He was Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man. I mean, this guy is a jack of all trades. He's a great actor, and he's been in a number of Birmingham productions. But Sam Phillips sort of is the guy who walks you through the entire story of how this night came to be and how each one of these guys was important to Sun Records. And it sort of unfolds. And it's a jukebox musical, so you get a lot of the music of each one of these guys. Great casting. Jerry Lee Lewis was brilliant. The guy playing Carl Perkins, probably my favorite because just a brilliant guitarist, which Carl Perkins was. It's one of the reasons George Harrison was such a fan is that Carl Perkins could pick the guitar like nobody else, much better than Johnny Cash, much better than Elvis Presley. I mean, he was a true guitar player. And he also, wrote a lot of great songs. And then the guy playing Elvis was a dead ringer for Elvis at 22. I mean, just a kid, lanky, great voice, spectacular in all the right ways. And then Johnny Cash was Johnny Cash, tall and mysterious and wearing black. And that was about that. It was 2 rollicking hours of good, solid entertainment if you get the chance. Like I said, I think it's around Thursday, Friday, 2 shows Saturday, 1. I think it's only a matinee on Sunday this next week. So if you can get to Virginia Sanford Theater and buy some tickets, I highly recommend you do it because it was one of the most enjoyable musicals I've seen. Well, I was going to say in a long while, but what was the last musical I saw, David? It was
Hamilton.
It was before the pandemic, actually.
Oh, you mean in person?
Live. I mean, yeah, in person. We got to go back a long ways for that one. I want to say it was when I went to see Cabaret. It was also at Virginia Sanford Theater. That was a little depressing.
What, Cabaret?
Yeah, with all the Nazis and whatnot.
Come on now. Who doesn't love a good Nazi
They're
story?
losing the war. It's so depressing. Anyway.
Luckily, I have a musical for you that'll make you just love the Nazis even more.
Oh, yeah?
Springtime for Hitler.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany. And then I went home and I whipped up a couple of Chicago-style pizzas, as I threatened to do. And they weren't 100% successful, but they seemed to be consumed with great alacrity, right? Am I wrong?
No, they went quickly.
Yes.
Because we were all starving.
Is that what
because it was 9 o'clock at night.
It was not 9 o'clock at night. It was
8:40.
I was going to say 8:40 at worst. But they were delicious. It was good. I learned a few things. I'll get them right next time. I know what I'm doing, kind of. No, not really. We will be chatting with Jeffrey Lord coming up in about an hour. I want to get into the Supreme Court thing. So to sum up, it was a wonderful weekend. And I hate the fact that I'm back at work today. I think that's what I'm trying to say is I hate it here. I don't ever want to come back. I kid. Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against the NCAA capping student-athlete benefits. I read this story a number of times. I was having real difficulty discerning exactly what it was saying. So I'm hoping David Sears can help guide me through it because he understands the student-athlete thing from the student-athlete side of things. Something that I have suggested on more than one occasion is now being echoed by those on the inside, which is that there's no chance that Ron DeSantis runs against Donald Trump in 2024. In fact, every single person in the Republican Party has already kind of stepped aside, cleared the way, and said, if he wants to run, I ain't running. I'm not going to do it. And there's a very simple reason for that. You don't really want to be Donald Trump's enemy. If you can avoid it, you don't want to be Donald Trump's enemy. Because the power that the guy wields right now, especially in the GOP, generally the last president is the one who sort of picks the head of the GOP and then is the figurehead of the GOP for the foreseeable future. I don't know what's going to happen with the Democrats because Joe Biden isn't even working well as a symbol now. So, once he leaves office, that should be real interesting. And then we have the New York City Democratic mayoral primary taking place today with an interesting style of voting. We'll get to that. The percentage of people who cannot pass a citizenship test in the United States of America is downright depressing. They broke it down by party. It doesn't matter what party you're in. It's downright depressing that people can somehow not pass a citizenship test. Told you about the McCluskeys. That couple out of St. Louis last year that had the guns when the protesters kicked down their privacy gate, went marching by their property. They stood out there with guns, didn't shoot anybody, didn't aim at anybody, didn't fire at anybody, but ended up cutting a deal with prosecutors this past week, pleading guilty to a misdemeanor and surrendering their weapons. There's a follow-up to that story. We'll get to that. We'll get to food news and so much more. Right now, we'll take a break and get this show up and lumbering under its own weight momentarily with a big stupid question of the day. Richard Dixon, Talk 995, talk995.com. Have you lost your sense of taste and smell, though? That's what we really want to know is put a mask on. Put a mask on, for the love of God. Tis I, Richard Dixon, Sentinel Firearms, sentinelfirearms.us, 592-3004, 906 North 40th Street. They are in a great location, close to downtown. So if you work downtown, you can just whip over there on your lunch hour and do some shooting and then right back to work. They have some ammo in stock. They have got firearms in stock. They have got a lot of accessories that they can then attach to your AR or your shotgun or your handgun, whatever works best for you. And as I said, they've got some of each of those in stock right now. So if you're interested in purchasing a firearm, now would be a good time to go pay them a visit. Sentinel Firearms, sentinelfirearms.us also has classes where you can learn a thing or two about shooting. Even if you're a great shot, you can always get better, right? Sentinel Firearms, sentinelfirearms.us, 906 North 40th Street. Proud sponsor of
The Big Stupid Question of the Day.
Which is this. Complete this sentence. No matter how many blank I own, I will always have the urge to buy more. No matter how many blank I own, I will always have the urge to buy more. Now, there are two answers that are pretty standard among guys, especially guys in this state. Number one is guns, right? No matter how many guns I have, I'm always going to have the urge to buy more. I don't have that problem. I'm kind of like, you get a couple of good firearms. I feel like firearms are like friends, You can only use so many at a time anyway, right? So if you get two or three good ones, enough for self-preservation and defense, then you're probably in pretty good shape. So I've never had that problem. The other one that I get a lot of is guitars. A lot of people in this state, they love their guitars. They're going to buy guitars. I only have three. I'm not crazy. What?
I
only have three. Why is that too many?
Well, I guess it's not because you are a musician, but I can play the violin and I only have one of those.
Yeah.
So
when was the last time you played the violin?
Wouldn't you like to know,
No.
Guitar boy?
No, I would not. I suspect it wasn't any time recent. I haven't played the guitar. I don't think I've picked up the guitar twice since I moved into this new house. I hung them on the wall, and they've been sitting there ever since. But There's a couple of answers that I expect a lot of people to be on board with. 545-9950, 844-455-9950. I just kind of took those off the table for you. So if you have something else, I'd love to hear about it. What about you, Crystal Dixon?
Empty notebooks.
Yeah?
I love a good notebook, but the problem with an empty notebook is there's so much pressure to fill it with things that are worthy of this spectacular notebook. So I just end up having a bunch of empty notebooks because I'm too anxious to fill them with stupid stuff.
So this is a little bit
I'm
like,
a millennial.
this is
Hi.
it's
Anxious about notebooks over here.
Buying containers to put baked goods in and then not ever baking anything because you're like, I don't think it can live up to the container's expectations.
I don't want to ruin the notebook.
You don't want to ruin the notebook. So letting it sit there purposeless, it's got no purpose now. Now you killed a tree for nothing, basically. You're a serial killer is what you are. You had all these trees killed, and now they're just sitting there as empty notebooks doing nothing. I hope you're happy.
They're being admired.
They're being admired, but that's not their purpose in life. So wrong. So wrong. Start writing stuff or drawing, sketching, doodling, whatever you want. Just hawk a loogie on a page. There, it's pop art. How about that? Mr. Bugs bringing you portions of today's show, mrbuggs.com, mrbugs.com. I got the pleasure of hanging out a little bit in my upper deck. That was on Friday. I just got to, sit out there and read and listen to my waterfall. And I didn't even turn on any music because I was like, I don't need no music. I get the music of the waterfall. And I didn't get, chewed up by mosquitoes while I was out there because of the mosquito reduction that Mr. Bugs has implemented on my property. And they'll be doing that again here very shortly, as well as handling my pest control. They do it all. MrBugs.com. That's 2 G's, MrBugs.com. 844-MRBUGGS. It is a statewide operation. Their prices are low. Their quality is high. These are the guys you're going to want to deal with. MrBugs.com, 2 G's, or 900-3433. It is coming down out there right now, and apparently it's going to rain. Judging from the weather, David, did I see this started at about noon today and is going to rain for all eternity, from what I understand?
I'm just hoping we get the games in because I got on the Barons this week, and I really don't want to have a bunch of doubleheaders because those are not fun.
So, Barons, in case you're listening, and I know you are because you're all fans, it's all about David. Let's keep that in mind. It's all about David.
You. More people need to realize this.
You have to understand that it's all about David. James is in Winfield with an answer to the big stupid question of the day. James, no matter how many blank I own, I'm always going to want more.
Case XX pocket knives.
You love the pocket knife, eh?
I love Case pocket knives. Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
I had a case. Actually, I still have it. I just broke the tip off of the main blade because I tried to use it as a screwdriver, which was a stupid thing to do, right?
Yeah, some of them are.
Well,
You can send them back to Bradford.
I suppose I could. I could send it back and say, but then I would have to admit I'm an idiot and I tried to use this as a screwdriver when I really shouldn't have. I'm not willing to admit that to the people at Case. Their judgment of me matters. Their opinion really makes me feel. Thank you, James. Good luck with that. Don't take those knives to London. They're illegal there, in case you're wondering. It is 12:22. Within minutes, I'm going to say within the next couple of minutes, we're going to chat with David Sears about this whole SCOTUS ruling. So be prepared, David. I need your insight on what this was all about and what it means. I find it fascinating because we're going to have the world of college sports is going to be turned on its ear in two ways. This taking place, meaning that it's going to be an era change, I think, on the kind of par of when they added more games in baseball, because you could no longer compare stats, which is why you had the Roger Maris 61 with the asterisk for the longest time. He hit more home runs in a season than Babe Ruth, but he did it in more games, okay? So suddenly you had the pre-era and the post-era, and it was two completely different things. And then we also have this, moving to a 12-game playoff system. 12 teams, 12-team playoff system in college football, which is Still a little mind-boggling. Don't. It's not for sure, though, is it? Is it for sure? Did they?
They approved it, the first part. They've got to go to the board this week.
Okay. We'll get more on this from David in a moment because he knows this stuff. Right now, Will, the Chop Father, is on the line. Will, you're on Talk 99.5. What's up, man?
What's happening, bro? All right, so listen, big stupid question. Since you took away my gun, I'm going to go cast iron hats and shoes. I have a pretty good amount of all that. Probably the cast iron thing is my favorite, though. I just like all shapes and sizes. I just got a brand new cast iron walk. It's awesome.
The way you said that, it sounded like you were buying cast iron hats. That was a little freaky.
And shoes. I was like, is this a new kind of steel-toed boot I've never heard about?
Cast iron.
Well, my kids do like to play the game where you sit on the side of the pool and then you push yourself down and see who can go down to the bottom the fastest and then come back up.
Yeah.
If I wore the cast iron shoes, I would sink faster.
Yeah.
But not come back up nearly as quickly. So.
Yeah, but you'd win half that competition. That's the important thing.
Yes, I would be half good at something, which is better than not being good at all.
No good at all. Thank you, Will. Got to run. Have a great day, man. Okay. There's the Chump Father. Here's first news. Talk 995, talk995.com. Stick around. Warren Zevon doing a medley of his hit for you right there. He was a great songwriter, by the way, and wrote a lot of great music for other people as well. That one in particular hit the charts for him and hit it hard. 1233, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. My Aqua Systems water makes me happy every single day. Every single time I get into the shower and I get to feel that soft water. Every single time my soap suds up. Every single time I open the dishwasher and get blinded by the glistening, glaring light that comes off of the clean dishes. I'm telling you, Aqua Systems is the way to go. They've got no commission salespeople, which means you're not going to get pressured, and the price is going to be lower. The water test is absolutely free, and if they find no problems, they're the honest people who will tell you flat out, you don't have any problems, your water's great, you don't need us. They don't have to tell a lot of people that, but they do occasionally, and when they do, they're only too happy to say so. Look, between that and the water you can get for your office, this cool new system they have that you can get hot and cold water and ice out of it. Ice, yeah. Find out more by giving them a call at 383-3999, 383-3999, or online at iwantgreatwater.com, iwantgreatwater.com. All right, David Sears, walk us through the Supreme Court ruling against the NCAA capping student-athlete benefits. Apparently, it was, unanimous. And what they said was, you cannot base your entire industry on, well, our sport is pure because we're not paying the athletes.
Essentially, that's what it's saying. And one of the key excerpts from Kavanaugh, who wrote the opinion, said, quote, to be sure the NCAA and its member colleges maintain important traditions that have become part of the fabric of America. Game days in Tuscaloosa and South Bend, the packed gyms and stores in Durham, the women's and men's lacrosse championships on Memorial Day weekend, track and field meets in Eugene, the spring softball and baseball World Series in Oklahoma and Omaha. The list goes on. But those traditions alone cannot justify the NCAA's decision to build a massive money-raising enterprise on the backs of student athletes who are not fairly compensated. Nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers a fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying the workers a fair market rate. And under ordinary principles of antitrust law, it is not evident why college sports should be any different. The NCAA is not above the law. So what that's saying is, the name, image, likeness bills that go into effect on July 1st in several states will mean the student athletes can profit off their name. Whether that is signing an endorsement deal with Nike, whether that is being with Julio Jones Kia in Tuscaloosa, it is to be seen. But they're going to have to come up with some type of ruling that allows student athletes to profit off their name. But the tricky part is when you get Title IX involved. Because let's face it, as great as Montana Fouts is, Devontae Smith's going to bring more money to the University of Alabama and be more of a commodity than Montana Fouts. So now you're going to get into the equal pay, because are you going to have to pay the scholarship athlete who's in a non-revenue sport like rowing, which is a women's team? Are they going to make the same as football? Is a women's basketball player, when they can barely sell 2,000 tickets to Coleman Coliseum, get the same as a men's basketball player where the place was sold out? So they're going to get into some trickiness here, and I'm interested to see how they navigate that landmine.
I think this thing is riddled with landmines. Forget about sport to sport. Let's talk about the difference between a great wide receiver and a bulky lineman, you know? I mean, everybody knew the name of Mac Jones, of course, Alabama quarterback, and knew most of the people he was throwing the ball to as well. But how many people could tell you who was starting at left guard last year, you know?
I mean, Deontay Brown, yes, he's not going to be making that much money. Maybe Landon Dickerson, because he was kind of a character and a lot of fun. But for the most part, your star players on offense are going to make the most money. As much as I love Cole Mazza being a long snapper, he's not going to really be signing up.
Printing press for cash coming out of that. Yeah, like I said, I think this thing is going to be riddled with landmines. You're going to have to figure it out. And then something that Spud and I had addressed when this first came out, imagine you got a kid coming out of, well, we'll just use Arch Manning as an example. He is coming out of Louisiana, and he's looking at Clemson, he's looking at Alabama, he's looking at a couple of schools. And imagine if, I don't know, the Kia dealership in Tuscaloosa says, here's the deal. We're going to sign you up for a 4-year endorsement contract. We're going to pay you $100,000 a year to be the endorser for this Kia dealership for 4 years. And even if we choose not to use you anymore, we'll still give you the money. So what does that mean? Well, you just paid a guy $400,000 to choose the University of Alabama over the University of Clemson. So you're now using, a Lamborghini, right? That's the sort of the model is like, we'll give you a Lamborghini if you come to this school.
Well, that is another thing, and some people say this may level the playing field when it comes to football, because would you rather be a second-string guy in Tuscaloosa, or would you rather be a first-string guy making $250,000 a year in Hattiesburg, Mississippi? So they're saying this could open the doors for some of the group of 5 schools like UAB, Troy, South Alabama, Southern Miss, North Texas. So we can possibly see an increase of athletes going to these schools because they could make more money. It just depends on if the person's more focused on earning money right now or earning money in the NFL. So we're going to have an interesting take on recruiting moving forward. And then again, is UAB going to be able to pay their women's softball team the same as their football team? Because they're already strapped for cash. They already cut bowling. They cut synchronized swimming.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had season tickets, man. No idea.
But, I mean, you're seeing more and more of these non-revenue sports that are possibly going to be cut because those are extra expenses now.
Right.
That
So
you're gonna
now
have to pay.
fencing goes away, and it was going to be some kid's ticket to getting into UAB because they were going to give a scholarship for fencing, and he was going to use it to ride that thing into becoming a doctor fencer, whatever that may be. We'll see. I think this is a sea change. This is really going to alter the face of sports as we know it. And by the way, something which I point out regularly, which people don't want to hear or pretend isn't, because, what are we in this state? We're Alabama fans, we're Auburn fans. You occasionally run across the crazy Florida fan like Dale Jackson up in Huntsville. You'll run across the crazy Tennessee fan like our good friend Andrew McLean. But here's the thing. It's really only the top 25, 30, maybe 35 football teams in America whose programs make money. The University of Alabama is an anomaly, all right? Huge number of these at smaller schools lose money, and it loses money hand over fist in some cases, but they use it as a means of getting, for instance, donations from, like Oklahoma State without T. Boone Pickens. Where would they be, They'd be nowhere.
Yeah, his estate left that university a ton of money when he died.
And he gave a lot while he was alive. So, there's a lot of schools out there that would be nowhere if they didn't have a football program, but the football program doesn't pay for itself, okay? In the case of Alabama, it pays for itself and 3 other programs. But most other schools do not have that luxury, and they end up, pushing it to the brink and the outside. The idea that they're going to start coming up with money to pay players, unlikely at best. And this could really, I don't know. Like I say, if there's a will, there's a way. When it comes to economics, they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure out how to make this work. The NCAA is going to figure out how to make money off of this. The student athlete is going to figure out how to make money off of this. How it's going to all stay equal, that's the real question here. Joe has some thoughts on the subject. Joe, you're on the Birmingham Broker phone line. What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you, the real thing that I think is going to be one of the biggest problems, and I'm going to just say this, and then you can collaborate on it when I get off the radio.
Collaborate.
Is going to be the people that have made the money for them in the past and are sitting there on the back line of all of this, looking at it and saying, I didn't get paid. I'm fixing to sue. Watch and see.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens if that, in fact, does come to fruition. Thank you. According to Joe now, we're supposed to stop, collaborate, and listen.
Do you want me to play some Vanilla Ice? Because I will bust that out for you.
No, I do not.
Rob Van Winkle, baby.
I decidedly do not. But anytime somebody says the word collaborate, I feel like that has to be mentioned. 12:43, now a break. Back in a moment. Psych. The rain has slacked off for the moment, but man, it really it hit us hard on. Was it Friday night? Saturday night? It was Saturday night.
Saturday night's when the really bad stuff hit because we were driving from Gadsden back, and we saw a lot of disco parties as police officers and wreckers were pulling people out of ditches.
Good Lord!
And then that horrible wreck down in Butler County.
10 dead. 10. That's amazing, and not in a good way. Speaking of good way, a good way to lose weight. Get it? Way to wellness. See, that's a transition, Crystal. That's how you do it. You say, speaking of, and then you blend into the next thing. Teaching her about talk radio. It's fun. Way to wellness is a great way to take off pounds with a physician-supervised weight loss plan that really works. It doesn't matter whether you got to lose 10 or 20 or 110 or 220. They can help make that happen by eating 5 or 6 times a day. You make sure that you're never hungry. You don't crave because you've got all kinds of fabulous salty snacks or sweet, chocolatey, dessert-type items, pasta dishes, a lot of stuff that's just fantastic, delicious. And, of course, like I said, physician supervised. So you could do it with weight loss drugs like Contrave, or without. You can do it with exercise or without. However it is you want to make it happen, they will help you make it happen with a plan for you. aplanforme.com, aplanforme.com. Way to Wellness, 994-2393. The initial consultation is absolutely free. All right, Crystal Dixon hanging out with us. She is people don't know this, she's a brilliant baker. She has been baking since she was a wee small child. I remember the first cake you ever actually baked. What is the secret? Because I'm not a baker. I've made exactly 3 cakes in my life. Each one of them was for Jolene's birthday. And only one of them was from scratch, which was a limoncello cake, which was particularly difficult to make, but I still managed to pull it off. But I don't understand baking. What is the baking is? I feel like if you get one thing wrong, it explodes. What's the story there?
Yes. So cooking is an art and baking is a science.
Aha.
And shout out to Mr. Glenn Weaver at Magic Muffins for teaching me that and the importance of you can't just fudge, the amount of baking powder you put in this because it's a chemical reaction that's, taking place. Mm-hmm. So it's you are an artiste and I am a scientist. But baking is very chemically driven.
Sure.
What makes a red velvet cake red. It's a reaction between the vinegar and the cocoa powder.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a bunch of red food coloring.
I thought it was a bunch of red food color.
Yes,
I honestly had no idea.
So did my mother.
But it's still
that one time.
But it still tastes different than chocolate, though, doesn't it? Red velvet, or is that just my eyes fooling my taste buds?
It's been a very long time since I have made a true red velvet cake, but it's different. It also has buttermilk.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different ingredients
Gotcha.
in there, and it's not very much cocoa powder at all, which is why it doesn't have a super strong fudgy taste.
Gotcha. Okay. So these are things I did not know, because I said I wanted to get more into baking, and really when I think about getting into baking, I'm thinking more in terms of things like bread. I want to bake my own bread.
It's so much fun.
Is it really?
It really is.
How hard is it, though? Because, I mean, the pizza crusts, which were store-bought yesterday, I screwed them up.
So it's a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
And it actually
I'm good at
depends.
that. I'm great at waiting.
Some would say it's the hardest part.
Yeah, but what does Tom Petty know?
You made that joke last night.
I did.
It depends on what you want to bake bread-wise. Like croissant is like, it's master level stuff because of the folding and the butter and the squareness and the rolling and
getting that tube open. You have to hit it on the counter, and that's not the same thing.
I
right?
jump every
Sorry,
time.
No, it's not the same thing.
It's like the whole house explodes.
You're talking about making croissants from scratch.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have to, fold and let it rest. And
how about something simple like biscuits? I mean, I see people making biscuits, and they're like infants. They're people who I wouldn't trust to drive a car are out there making biscuits. It can't be that hard, right?
Well, I don't know much about making the grands with the
flaky layers. Right.
Yeah. I assume that would be a similar croissant.
I would think so.
Punch and layer situation. But
what about just good old cat head biscuits?
Like a drop?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just flour, baking soda, milk, salt. Maybe you want to make it fancy and put some cheddar cheese in there. You can do that.
Everybody, when you're good at something, you always act like it's no big deal.
This.
It's just easy.
It's just all of these things.
Absolutely.
Done perfectly in succession.
Exactly. In exactly the right order. And don't put it in the oven for too long. And there's just so many different ways you could screw it up. Maybe that's why I'm afraid. I'm afraid, just like you, afraid to write in your notebooks. I'm terrified of actually beginning the baking process. But, as I always say, you got to start failing so that you can start succeeding. You make a mistake, you figure out what you did wrong, you come back at it from another angle, you do it again.
I would start with a challah. We can make challah this weekend.
Challah! This weekend is the big party. SHG is having the big...
My mistake. Before then.
She's having the big get-together, so it's the 4th of July bash, but it's a week early so that it doesn't get in the way of anyone else. It's just a midsummer party. It's going to be good. I'd invite you, but, SHG's banned me from putting anybody on the list. All right, it is first news time. Stick around.